Hi, I'm Crit, and
oh my...
yeah, we read the title. I'm not gonna stall this. Today we're gonna try to reach Lyndell, but everything is Bayle the Dread, and I do mean everything. Every enemy, every boss, every bird, every sheep, not a single living thing that is not Bayle the Dread, and that makes for a very interesting experience, so join me as we try desperately to beat Elden Ring when every enemy is a massive dragon that can shoot fire, dash around, and slam your ass from halfway across the world. We begin as any good run does, the Chapel of Anticipation, and this is where our plight begins.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, this is gonna suck. This really began to set in when I first attempted the tutorial. Not only is Bayle absolutely massive, but his hitboxes also cockblock you from progressing, and
Don't mind me. I'm just gonna make my way through. Don't mind. Okay, I can't even go through.
and the moment I exited the tutorial area, it really showed, because look at this. See, Bayle is a problem because not only can he fly, but he also has maybe the most annoying type of move to dodge. Fire. Because you can't dodge fire. It spreads around everywhere, and it's especially hard to dodge if you're trapped between 3 big dragon bodies rubbing between you. And not to mention the dashes where he strikes from halfway across the field, or a slam that instantly breaks every bone in your body without warning. But enough complaining, we have to get past our first challenge, to simply walk from the first steps to the Church of Ella. What is a poor bastard to do about this? I mean, seriously, take a good look. When I was planning this, I thought I could just spam dash and hope for the best, but that quickly stops working when the hitboxes are the size of Russia. Every time I rushed in, I'd either get dove on or slowly roasted over an open flame, since the moment one Bayle notices you, the entire bloody pack also readies to rail my ass. So let's take a step back. This is not a challenge that can be done with brute force. There's 2 ways we can do this. Praying to RNGesus that we don't get dive bombed by a dragon from halfway across the map, or smartly, by going from bush to bush, slowly making your way through stealthily. So what does a smart, experienced young man like me do? Of course, disregarding the smart method of sneaking through and attempt to go straight through the center. Yeah, I'll let you guess how that one went.
Around? Does he see? He sees me. He sees me. He definitely sees me.
Okay, change of plans. We attack from the east.
Oh man, there's a lot of puppies.
Yeah, this really made me realize how many birds and pigs and sheep and little rodents there are on this map. I mean, something tells me that Bayle wasn't aura farming like this in the base game. But like most good things, the best results came from slow but consistent effort. Instead of trying to rush through and sprinting, the first checkpoint showed me that his challenge was going to be a whole less flashy and a lot more painful. So I took the longest path, the one where if I did, say hypothetically, get sniped from halfway across the map, would force me to crouch and slowly crawl all the way back over the course of many minutes, which really sucked. And my ass was clenched tight, but this was by far the easiest part of the video because I quickly realized that I couldn't level up. See, you level up, get more health and stamina, and then you have to cross the Limgrae forest, and in the base game, it's really easy. It's as easy as just holding down W and not tripping on your own dick against the one sword you're patrolling, but in this game,
like, I just kind of hope I dash at the right time, which is like a very big emphasis on hope, like a massive fucking emphasis on hope.
What am I supposed to do about this? This was the biggest roadblock of the entire challenge, not only because, well, look at it, but also because I got one shot by everything. However, I knew the moment I crossed that road, I'd find all the runes my heart would ever dream of, so we're left with 3 options. 1. Try to thug through the forest, running in with no plan, Bible and cross in hand, swearing your life to Allah in a fruitless effort to run past 20 bloody dragons. 2. To stealth across, hopping from bush to bush, praying that one dragon doesn't see you, because if it does, well, you're cooked. And number 3, force all the dragons to brutally murder each other, all in a civil war, and try to survive the chaos that ensues. And I tried over and over and over again. The first strategy, it would not work. I don't think it's possible. I could hardly even muster to the mouth of the woods before Bayle smushed every living fiber of me into the ground. Usually it was because a Bayle decided to off-screen dive bomb me and one-shot me. But even if I was lucky enough to not have that happen, soon 20 Bayles would be firing all their fire attacks at me all at once, comboed with their tail swipes. Yeah, no, that option is a no-go. So let's look at stealth. This strategy looked promising. You know, the dragons could be looking into your soul, but if you were crouched in a bush, they'll pretend you're not even there. However, the trail stops after like 5 bushes. Like seriously, there's a single sightline that's completely boxed by a dragon at all times, and once one of them finds you, yeah, it's GG's, run it back. I tried this method a lot. I thought it had a bunch of potential, and for the beginning, it did. I genuinely thought I could beat the game with it. How wrong I was. Now, 3 was actually the most promising, and in retrospect, I genuinely think I could have worked on it and beat the game like this, but in the moment, I was so tilted, I kind of just did it once, had a bit of fun before slamming my head back into a wall again. Now, why do I say this? Well, because this is by far the method that takes the longest amount of time, and also the one that makes failure hurt the hardest. See, the moment one dragon decides to accidentally hit another one, all hell breaks loose, and my PC loses a couple years off its lifespan. Monster Hunter Wilds is gonna finish it off soon. However, when this happens, all the dragons die. Usually there's 1 or 2 that remain, and that's where the problem is. See, surviving the onslaught is already hard enough, but those last couple dragons would insta-kill me, and I'd have to go all the way back from the start, waiting minutes for everything to fight and die. die. So my past self assumed that this method probably wouldn't have worked. Now this was kind of a spectacle because the amount of flashing orange lights combined with every dragon screaming at each other like a maniac made for some very fun ass times. I kind of hid behind this wall instead of being smart and hiding in the doorway, and I got killed the first couple times. And again, the one time I even got close, the dragon that remained immediately finished me off. However, this strategy was kept ripe in my mind, not only because it gave me ridiculous amounts of runes, but also because at higher scalings, I feared that this was going to be my only way. I'm sure this strategy is never going to backfire at all. Okay, so this is not working, but I think there's another way to unlock Melina. See, on my first playthrough, instead of going north, I went east, and Melly decided to still track me down, so I reckon that if I got to 1 or 2 more graces, it'll be all good. My first idea was to go east, back to the first steps. However, trying to get to the lake was maybe the worst decision ever. We all remember the bats, but let's not forget the amount of birds just chilling there. Yeah, this place was an absolute cesspit. Look how many puppies are everywhere. My other idea was the western coastline, but without Torrent, I don't think it's possible to get down there, and even if you do get close, the amount of dragons chasing you will immediately smoke you, so basically, we're trapped. At this point in time, we only have one real choice, and that's to go through the forest, through the gatefront ruins, and mind you, all of this checking took like an hour, with me shooting multiple attempts at each of them. This was my final resort. Well, not really. See, if you take a left before going to the forest, you'll stumble upon these Stormfoot catacombs, and I reckon I could make it. I first tried to run it, and it went about as well as you could imagine, but I also did get closer there than I ever got running through the forest, and that's what I did for like the next hour. Yeah, hour. Dying over and over and over and over again. At this point, dodging this bastard was like muscle memory. I mean, I could see everything he was about to do and time every single dive he was about to do. But I don't think it's possible to dodge this because I was also getting body blocked and stuck. But by the 45-minute mark, I had a formula. I'd wait for the patrolling dragon to leave me alone and quickly run all the way to these ruins here covered with trees and bushes. From there, I'd hide in them and wait for safety until the coast was clear. Then I'd begin running and await the RNG check. Every dragon all at once at my ass, but every other attempt I would get closer and closer before being taken out by a stray tail wipe or a dive bomb or some fire, but I was still getting closer. I would repeat the steps like tens of times, pure insanity, expecting a different result while doing nothing different, spamming dodges like my life depended on it, because there's really no way to predict the attacks of 20 dragons other than just kind of hoping for the best. My heart was pounding, stakes were high, and the only thing separating me from Melina was a single meter long gap. And as I got closer and closer, I felt my asshole grow tighter and tighter until... Oh my god, oh my god. Please, please, please. Yes, let's go. Oh my god, we finally leveled up. We can finally progress. Melina, here I come. Melina? Hello? Okay, wait, this must be a bug. Let me just quickly reset my game and... Melina? Fuck! Okay, second game plan. So you see this cave here, right? We're gonna try to go there. See, the reason I didn't do this was because it looked really impossible, but we got this, right? I did the same thing. It took like 30 minutes crawling from bush to bush, making a mad dash for the cave entrance. Like, it felt impossible. You can only get like a quarter of the way there before every monster in a mile-wide radius begins to shoot you, and it was hell. There was simply nothing I could do except keep rolling and pray for good luck, and again, not even being able to see the direction I could walk in because every single dragon was blocking my way. But alas, the indomitable will of the human spirit prevails. Heart pounding, tired and very tilted at Melly, I desperately hoped for her to finally show up. Alright, I see how it is. So we're gonna have to get to the Gatefront ruins. Good news though, turns out that sneaking through the forest was actually pretty easy, so we actually did make it. Originally, I thought the Gatefront ruins was gonna suck due to the soldier camp outside, but it was far enough away to actually not draw any aggro from the Grace. And finally, after like 2.5 hours of this hell, we finally made it to Melina. And even better, there was a whole ass civil war going on in the background, which reminds me, I can finally use ruins. And I thought this would make the challenge a cakewalk. I thought that having 50 vigor was gonna make this an absolute breeze, but the scaling completely dogged on me. See, I started my farming strat by just letting the war start and rolling in a bush until all of the enemies died, rinse and repeat over and over again. My PC was crying for help, but I just ignored its screams and kept going. You know, it was kind of beautiful to be honest, the clash of dragons in the sky lighting up the darkness of the night. I mean, sure, every once in a while a dragon would dunk on my ass with a massive fireball, but it was also kind of majestic nonetheless. Before long, I had all the vigor and endurance I needed, but if I knew what I knew now, I would have definitely put a lot of those points into strength, because instead of allowing me to survive dozens of hits, the scaling actually just allowed me to survive like 2 of them. But even with torrents, every mad dash through a group of enemies made me hold my breath. Every bright grace like a respite from anxiety and stress. Life felt so frail when it could be instantly put to an end by a giant massive dragon. Yeah, this is the scaling we're dealing with. Even at 60 vigor, I was still getting 2 shots, and this made me realize, how am I supposed to deal with the bosses? The bosses are also Bayle. But whatever, we can't complain about that now. Margit. Well, frankly, I actually intended to skip these bosses. See, I really want to take the secret path that goes straight to Leonia, but unfortunately, well, how do I put this? Yeah, it's just impossible. No bushes, too many enemies. I mean, there's really no way to get to the other side, which means there's really no way to get to the other side. I would have to fight through Stormveil Castle, defeat Margit and Godric to progress, which also explains my extreme lack of DPS potential. So yeah, we're forced to fight Margit. Or, well, Bayle the Fell Omen. Nothing but a club and a dream. Let's split the fight into multiple parts, with Rogier and without Rogier. See, Rogier got randomized with Michaela's crown, which gave me false hope. You know, I thought if he could solo Consort Radahn, Bayle would be no problem. How wrong I was. See, monsters scale when fought with summons, which usually is fine, but when the monster has an ability that nukes an arena, basically confirming the death of the summon halfway through the battle, that logic quickly falls apart. However, I didn't think about this until like 30 minutes in, and the reason it took 30 minutes was because every attempt took so long because I could not do enough damage and he had far too much health. I blame Borden more for my death than the massive dragon cooking me alive. And it really wouldn't have taken me that long if he didn't have the health of a blue whale. Now you might be wondering, hey Crit, why aren't you going out to upgrade your gear? And to that I say, have you seen what's out there? There's no plausible way for me to get buffs because I also decided to randomize all the items, and plus all I needed to do was to lock in. The beauty of Elden Ring is that no matter how bad of a hand you're dealt, you'll always be able to outskill it. No, I'm not Scumner or Lil Aggie or anyone actually good at the video game, but I can beat the hell out of someone with nothing but a club. And so, with this stubborn, stupid mindset, I actually decided to not summon Rogier, and that was, ironically, the best decision I've ever made. When I attempted him without Rogier, I quickly noticed something. The boss was dying, like really quickly. And it turned out that doubling Bayle's HP is actually a bad idea. Yeah, this boss is so much more possible without a summon, but also this also requires me to be good at the game. And I know what you're thinking, I should really level up, but I'd rather take this than what the hell is out there. Bayle is an interesting boss when you put him in a small area. His fire can become impossible to dodge and everything feels more claustrophobic. Every hit echoes harder, praying for a bleed or stun and hoping that you don't accidentally get nudged off the edge, which has happened multiple times. Frankly, it was a blast. I really enjoyed my time. Bayle is a baller ass boss, and I think maybe in the top 3 FromSoft dragons of all time, not that that list is very competitive. The final moments of this fight were, well, they were tense, you know? I was on my very last potions, on my last strands of health, fighting for my life, desperately trading blows while both of our health bars were slowly decreasing, and that's when I did it. Bayle the Dread was stunned and was on 1 HP, and I missed. Thank you, FromSoftware. In a panic, I tried not to throw, but I just kept being hit when Bayle landed the final blow on me. What? Oh my god. And it's just that easy, folks. Not even close. And speaking of easy, subscribing. I've already made like 3 videos, so please, you could be like really early, and that's cool. And if you don't want to do that, a like and comment would also help me immensely. Thank you so much. Okay, time for Stormveil Castle. Now, Stormveil is something. Just getting through Stormveil normally is already difficult enough, but now there's silly little puppies populating the hallways. It goes from very difficult to just impossible. However, by the time I entered, the entire castle was seemingly deserted. So yeah, it turns out that some random dragon shot another dragon, and that dragon shot another one, and soon enough they were all cleared out by each other. No, I'm not even kidding. I got the door to be opened and there was not a single force in my sight to stop my stride up the streets of Stormveil. Of course, that was the easy part. See, when I got to my grace, I instinctively sat down, but this was, how do I put this? Maybe one of the worst plays in all of video game history because the entire castle was now on my ass. You know the birds that throw TNT? Yeah, well, it turns out that Godric's budget must have increased dramatically because he replaced all of them with a man-eating dragon staring at me menacingly. However, I desperately had to take a piss, so I decided to AFK my character here while I go, and when I came back, a rare silence. One I'd not witnessed for a long time. And when I left, it was a ghost town. I mean, everything was gone. I mean, they each killed one another, which I'm absolutely not complaining about. What I will complain about is Godric the Grafted, or Bayle the Grafted, which is just Margit but harder. More health, more damage, it's just not a great time, and while his arena is a little bit bigger, that's about all the benefits. I was sure that this was where the run would end. I was sure I could not defeat him with my current level of skill, but then I remembered I had to upload before the new Monster Hunter game came out, and so I bit my lip and decided to lock in. Man, what the hell is Renala gonna be like? But this time, it felt effortless. All his attacks were seemingly already scripted in my head. I could read his moves and then react without struggle. It was beautiful. I had entered that flow state. Sure, I did barely any damage, and sure, I was hardly any stronger than I was about 5 minutes ago, but I had learned. And that's what this entire challenge is about. When I played Elden Ring's DLC, I felt like I'd cheesed it, using the backhand blades for almost every boss and barely even struggling. It was some of my favorite gaming experiences of all time, but I felt ashamed that I seemingly took an easy way out, and I still regret the way I fought Bayle. It wasn't a hard, heartfelt battle, but rather a one-handed, extremely free massacre with my max level Dragon Slayer greatsword. I don't regret playing the DLC like that, but people made me feel like I'd missed out, and while I think those people are mostly wrong, there's definitely some credit in what they said. So even through all the pain of this challenge, I don't regret spending my Friday night doing it. Forcing myself to confront an enemy like Bayle with nothing but a club and a pair of pants made me realize the depth of this fight. All his moves, the way they chained with each other, the brutality of his attacks, the pure rage-inducing ability of his fire, they're all mixed together into something great. A truly amazing boss fight. Bayle the Grafted wasn't easy. I still made many mistakes. Hell, I almost threw. But after all that, after being forced to slay Bayle dozens of times, dodging hundreds of them at once, and being forced to die in so many blazes of glory, I defeated him. I finally understood him. And I defeated him. And after I left Stormveil Castle, I felt a genuine sense of passion for Elden Ring I had not felt for a long time. As I ran down into Leonia of Lakes on Torrent, everything felt clearer. And while I never really learned too much, it taught me enough about this boss to make him one of my favorites of all time. And before long, I was by the merchant below the cliffs getting ready to enter the Academy of Rhea Lucaria, but then I found a terrible truth. Bayle one-shots me now. So now my new hardest quest begins. But this point also marks the halfway point on my journey. Yeah, I know, Stormveil and Melina were over 50% of the recording, so you might be wondering, how the hell am I supposed to get all the way to Lyndell in 4 more hours? Well, the answer is simple. Part 2. Yeah, I really don't like doing this either, but I really want to get a Monster Hunter video out soon, and I really want to play the game, so I'm very sorry. Anyways, see you guys in like 2-4 weeks, something like that. And next time we are actually beating Elden Ring. Thank you so much for watching. I genuinely appreciate it so much. Have a wonderful day. Remember to stay hydrated and also subscribe. Okay, bye-bye. Have a good rest of your day. Thank you.